The Sports Desk rounds the bases this week with league coverage. The B-Money Knights are down in the Del Rey League as they look to get a W. And the North Saxons look to keep up their preseason buzz in their first league game as they host Lawndale. The Tartar softball team hosts the Warriors for a non-league showdown, and the Lady Warriors bring some. On the hardwood, the Warrior volleyball team tries to cover their league chances against powerhouse Miracosta. For all of this and more, stick around and get fired up because it starts right now. Hello and welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm your host, Bonnie Prickitt. We have a lot to get to, so let's get started. The prep baseball team of Bishop Montgomery lost the head coach in Andy Marafino and graduated a key pitcher in Johnny McLaughlin. But righty Andy Bershinger and company bring returning varsity experience. The Del Rey League's top team is Bishop Amat. They're ranked number 2 in Division 4. It proves there's a long road to the top in the Del Rey League. New Sports Desk reporter Adam Saroa takes us through their game against St. Monica's.
The boys would have just a little bit more luck than the girls did, behind last year's first-team All-League starting pitcher, Andy Bershinger. Bishop would quickly load the bases behind Kevin Flores' line drive to center field to get things going for the Knights. Number 6, Chris Goff, would then walk up to the plate and look at 4 pitches in a row to take the walk as he brought around the first run of the game for the Knights to take an early lead. Bershinger didn't only help his cause on the mound, but also at the plate as he doubles here to left field. And number 15, Jeff Villafana, makes his way around the pads and stops at third base. Goff would come up again here and prove to be a thorn in St. Monica's side all day long as he smacked a long single off the left field fence to bring his team to the early 2-0 lead. The offense wouldn't stop there though. In the 6th inning, the game would be broken wide open as Bershinger came to the plate and did more damage. The pitcher would help his cause yet again by sailing a 2-run double to center field, putting the game out of reach as the Knights ultimately took a 7-0 win. Pretty big win here against St. Monica in the same division. Big game for you guys. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, we came in 2-9. Our first 3 league games, we didn't score a run, so our coach is stressed getting on base and getting runners today, and I was kind of fed up with our play, so there's a little drive for me for this game and brought it.
How can you use this game as kind of momentum going forward into the rest of your season, especially in league?
As a senior, I try and lead by example, and hopefully this motivates the rest of the guys to bring the energy every day, and let's start getting some big league wins.
Final tally here is no runs on 4 hits and 4 strikeouts for Andy Bershinger. So we wrap it up here from Bishop Montgomery. Another good win for the Knights and a great performance by Andy Bershinger. We'll see if they can keep the momentum going and finish off league play on a strong note this year. For the Sports Desk, this is Adam Sorrell.
The Knights leaders at the plate were pitcher Andy Bershinger, outfielder Chris Goff, and first baseman Andrew Garb. This win is the only win in the Del Rey League, and going into this week, it brings them to an overall record of 3-10. The Knights need to turn it up in the remaining 7 league games, and they start their week this week against Bishop Amat. This prep baseball game brings us to perhaps the team that has the chance to travel the deepest into the postseason of all the teams in the city. The North Saxons are 10-5 overall before this matchup against the Lawndale Cardinals. And you want to know who the dugout leaders are? Well, let's just say on any given day you can take your pick of the roster. There were lots of highlights against Lawndale, but reporter Brittany Johnson takes you through the runs that jumped the Saxons to a crushing win over the Cardinals.
We picked this up in the 5th inning with the Saxons up 12-0. Daniel Heggie up at bat for the Saxons with the bases loaded. He's able to knock this one out past second base and bring in Matt Jarvis and Hayden Weir to put the Saxons up by 14. Andrew Mungaro up for the Saxons with runners on 1st and 3rd. He tries to hit the ball deep into the outfield but comes up short. Lawndale is able to get a double play. Top of the 6th now, and Dalton Erb on the mound for North, and Lawndale's able to get things shaking right here and able to get a runner on first. Bases loaded now, and Lawndale is still scoreless here in the top of the 6th. but not for long. North tries to make the catch for the out, but they just miss it. Lawndale finally gets on the board and brings one runner home. North is still up by 13. Now, just when things are starting to get a little quiet, Dalton Nelson steps up to bat in the bottom of the 6th and hits the home run. It's going, oh, it's gone. That'll make it a 16-1 game. Top of the 7th, and Nick is on the mound for North, getting to do some pitching. Lawndale hits the ground ball up the middle, and they're able to get on the board. The score is now 16-3. Lawndale still fighting hard to stay in the game, but there's not much they can do at this point. North goes on to win the game 16-4. After the game, the sports desk was able to catch up with Hayden Weir, who told us this win felt a lot better than the previous win against Lawndale.
It might be the field, it might be the pitching on their side, but of course it was made easier for Dalton to get 16 runs than my 2.
Well, if you ask me, I think it might be that stash. But according to Dalton Erb, who pitched for 6 innings, he says home court advantage made it an easy win.
I think it's the atmosphere. When we go play there, we're not like playing our normal game. We kind of step down to their level, which we shouldn't do. But when we come here, we're more comfortable and we just play better at home.
Head coach Mike DeMaria says it's very important for the team to stay focused, especially when playing on the road.
But, it's tough to bounce back, and you have a game like today, and then you're playing a really good team the next day. So I just hope we don't get too confident, too cocky, or stuff like that. But, we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be a tough team tomorrow. It's going to be a bigger test than today.
So what does their good luck charm and team mascot Don have to say about the win today? Well, let's just say he's at a loss for words. I'm Brittany Johnson at North High for the Sports Desk.
Thanks, Brittany, for the roundup. And I got to say that monkey promised more talking next game. The Saxons' Jack Kennedy and Dalton Erb were batting 1,000. Hayden Weir, Andrew Mangaro, Daniel Heggie also beat up on the Lawndale defense. The Saxons' tournament play in the coming weeks will only solidify their rotation and help Coach Mike DeMaria, fill in those blanks. Every South Torrance starting player reached base in this game against neighborhood rival West Torrance, totaling 12 hits. And it played out in the 6th inning with South bouncing back after being down 4 runs. Twice in that game they were down 4 runs. The 6th, Mike Esparza shot a 2-out grounder, and the West defensive efforts weren't enough with a wild throw to first, letting South score the tying and winning runs. Spartans' Mike Esparza, Nick Cohan, and Dilla Tobin contributed to the win. Warriors' Joey Notch, Kevin Clausen, and Niles scored 2 runs apiece. Both South and West lost a game in their respective tournaments last week, and they begin league play this week. South will play Torrance twice for the Pioneer League competition before tournament play in the coming weeks, and West will play in the OC Select tournament this week. Please note their overall records are listed, and they haven't played a league game. So let's go ahead and talk about Torrance. The normally strong Torrance Charters are struggling this preseason with an overall record of 6-8. With 2 losses in non-league matchups, they show that they need to improve and find their rhythm. Though Oaks Christian is ranked 9th in Division 4, that was a game that they lost. And the Sports Desk will bring you coverage on the next South versus Torrance game. After this short message, we'll go to Wilson Park to check out the Torrance and West non-league softball game. The starting pitcher isn't Washington for the Tartars. Can the other one bring the heat? Stick around.
We're asking folks about marriage.
Marriage makes me think of sports. Teamwork, dedication.
Okay, let's see what people say.
Let's say your marriage is a sport. What sport would it be?
Basketball. Surfing.
They have to be a team sport.
A lot of back and forth.
A lot of people watching.
So how many people are influenced by your marriage?
Hundreds.
You really think about the ripple effect.
It's like a wave.
Want to improve your marriage? For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
The strongest families are built one moment at a time. For more ways to make every day count, visit facebook.com/makeeverydaycount.
Welcome back. Let's move on to softball now. West and Torrance played a doubleheader at Wilson Park last week. The West squad is finding their identity this preseason, and they do have talent on the mound and at bat to compete in the Bay League. There isn't much to say about the Lady Tartars except the 4th-ranked team in Division III is exciting to watch. David Gascon brings us a few highlights from the first of the 2 games.
Bonnie, it was doubleheader Saturday here as Torrance and West squared off. And we figured to be here all day, but both teams play like they were double parked. Nicole Aiello, the pitcher for Torrance, was very impressive. She had 6 strikeouts overall. And for Torrance, they scratched together 6 runs total. The single by Danielle DeCastro here brought in Haley Petroselli in the 3rd inning, and Torrance was on top 4-3. West threatened to steal this game early and often. Junior second baseman Crystal Moneres, she had a couple doubles in this contest. In the 4th inning, she doubles here in the left center field. And in the bottom of the 7th inning, with one runner on, she comes up again. She smacks this double here in a right center field. And just like that, trailing 6-3 in the bottom of the 7th, West had an opportunity to tie this game up. So with 2 outs and 2 runners on in the bottom of the 7th inning, Natalie Francis came up as the potential tying run, and she punched out swinging. Torrance won this game 6-3, and they took the second game of the doubleheader 9-3. Let's catch up with the players.
I always just try to stay focused, work on my mechanics. If I'm not working on a good pitch, I just try to focus better.
Thanks, David, for the highlights. Torrance pitcher Nicole Aiello proved there are options in the bullpen for Coach Don Glavich. Lexi Ponce crushed a homer and brought 2 runners home. Crystal Moneres is a warrior on the field and at the plate. The Tartars capped another win over West in the second game with a 9-3 score. Their overall records are posted since league competition. It begins in the coming weeks. Torrance travels to Nevada for tournament play. West starts Bay League competition against Redondo this week. The Lady Knights softball team is already into the first quarter of the Delray League play. With the need to find the balance between the offense and the defense, this game against St. Joseph gives them a chance to do just that. Reporter Adam Soreo brings us the story.
It was a battle between the boys and the girls as the Bishop Montgomery Lady Knights are praying to get their season turned around against the St. Joseph Jesters and show the boys team on campus how it's really done. Freshman pitcher and varsity starter Sammy Eubanks is establishing herself as a leader on the team and looks to take the mound to silence the Jesters in this one. It was St. Joseph's that got to Eubanks first in the opening inning with an RBI single to right field to take the early 1-0 lead. The Knights would attempt to rally in the top of the second behind Zariah Marquez as she uses her speed to hurry St. Joseph's first baseman Maggie Castillo into dropping the ball. Number 9, Catherine Hilton, would come up and single to left field to advance Marquez to second base, but Lizette Cabrera gets on top of one to ground out to end the rally a little bit early. Zariah Marquez was at it again and proved to be the instigator for the Lady Knights as she forces another error and advances to second base on an overthrown ball. Senior catcher Melissa Baruti puts down a perfect sacrifice bunt, and Marquez moves over to third base easily. Cabrera would get the chance to redeem herself at the plate and reaches first base safely on the pass ball to manufacture Bishop Montgomery's first run and tie the game at 1 apiece. Dominique Walker of the Jesters would have something to say about that as she doubles the left field off Eubanks in the top of the 4th to score 2 runs and take a 4-1 lead. The Jesters would keep laughing all the way home behind Amanda Lara as she came to the plate, sent a triple to center field over Lauren Dawsey's head to score a run and cap off the scoring spree and the win for the Jesters. It was an overcast day here in Torrance, California to witness the Bishop Montgomery Lady Knights take on the St. Joseph Jesters. Unfortunately for the Lady Knights, the weather wasn't the only thing that was gloomy as they ultimately took a 9-1 loss in the game.
Thanks again to Adam Soroa for the story. Zariah Marquez scored the only run for the Lady Knights. They have 7 more league games to make a dent in their 0-4 league record. The Lady Spartans are ranked 8th in Division III. 2 wins over Santa Monica last week make a point they will be contending for a top spot in the Pioneer League, if not the #1 spot. Their game against Edison out of Huntington Beach should be a good measure of their talent to compete in the Pioneer League, since North Torrance won by a single run against Edison in the Torrance tournament. Moving on to North Torrance, who isn't ranked in Division III like Torrance and South. They split with Los Alamitos last week with an 8-3 record. They will have to work out their kinks in a doubleheader this week against Santa Fe. But after this break, the West volleyball team plays a SoCal powerhouse, and they are determined to defend on their home turf. Stick around.
It is important for young people to have a mentor in their life.
I would definitely say that I have had an impact on his life, and he's had an impact on my life.
One of the most important lessons that I've learned from Charlie is to make better decisions and take responsibility for what you're going to do.
Think about what you would be today if people didn't go a step out of their way to help you out. And that's really what it's all about.
So get involved and do your part. Invest in the future. Mentor a child.
It's from a place of love that I became an activist. It is just a fabulous area, full of life. It's one of the few areas of temperate old-growth forest left on the planet. In the early 90s, it looked like all of the intact forest would be clear-cut logged, and it was very devastating to think of that possibility. So it was quite a pivotal time right then to take action when we did.
1/3 of the massive Great Bear Rainforest will now be protected from all logging. We're talking about an area the size of Switzerland.
Having the Great Bear Rainforest protected now really means a lot to our community. I would say we're part of the environment just like the animals are. The greatest thing that I enjoy is seeing a total stranger respect this area. We're hoping that years down the line, this place will still be looking the same as it does right now.
On the hardwood of the volleyball court, West Torrance brings the ability to compete, but they need to be able to stay in matches. In this first league game against ranked Mira Costa, their overall record stands at 3-8. John Lewis reports from West High.
After going 0-15 last year, the West Boys volleyball team has shown some much-needed improvement. Yet at 5-7, they're still trying to find some consistency. Warriors coach Brandon Smeltzer talked to us about the direction this team is heading in.
We failed to win a game last year at West. So my first year, my goal was to win one game. We've won 5. Our league is tough. I don't expect us to win a game in our league. But we're talking about the best teams in Southern California, so we're doing all right.
Thursday's game against Mira Costa, who is ranked 3rd nationally, would be a tough task for West. But the Warriors showed both heart and skill coming out to start game 1 with a lot of energy. And they would receive the point here to make it even at 5-5. Costa would eventually take charge, and they'd go on a 7-0 run that included this point and kill from outside hitter Riley Mallon to make it 21-12 Mustangs. And they'd go on to win game 1 by a score of 25-15. West senior Greg Day referenced the fact that they wanted to continue to play their own game against such a talented team.
This is definitely the toughest team we'll face this season and this year. They're number 3 in the nation, I think, right now. So I think that when we go to play them, we try to keep our heads up and play our game and not give in to what they're doing.
In game 2, West once again come out strong, receiving the block here from Day to tie it up at 6. But once again, the Mustangs would take control. A monster kill here from Michael DeBevic puts Costa up 21-12, and they would win game 2, 25-15. West Libero Jared Martin knows communication is the only way this team will find the success it's looking for.
Definitely we need to work on it in practice, calling the ball, make sure we know who's taking the ball and stuff. We had a lot of aces against us because no one was talking.
Communication became effective in game 3 as the Warriors would be the ones taking charge to start off. A nicely placed hit from Austin Bogart puts West up 8-4 with a fighting chance. But like the previous 2 games, Costa found a way to come out on top. Another kill from DeBevic gives the Mustangs a 22-17 lead, and they'd sweep with a 25-20 game 3 victory. After the game, West opposite Austin Bogart talked about how his team can rebound.
I think we have to come out swinging as hard as we can next time and come out with a lot of energy to make sure we don't give up like we did this game.
Thanks, John, for the story. The Warriors' play indicates talent, but gaining a playoff spot will prove difficult in that stacked Bay League. Doesn't mean they can't qualify for the postseason, though. Their record is 4-8 going into this week. The Knights added a game in their overall record with the win in the Delray League versus Bishop Amat. The Knights continue league competition against LaSalle and Cathedral. On to second-ranked team in Division III. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the net against this team. The North Saxons gave them a hard time closing in on South in the first 2 sets, but inevitably fell in 3 games. The Spartans also crushed Centennial last week, adding to their dominant record of 16-4. North's record in league is 2-0. South takes on Burroughs from Burbank this week. Burroughs is ranked 1 in the same division where South is ranked number 2. It should be a good match that's sure to go 5 sets, foreshadowing the postseason matchups. Here's a chance to get in touch with us at the Sports Desk. Let us know things we might not know, someone we can profile. Let us know other stuff as well. 310-618-5762. You can email us at thesportsdesk@torranceca.gov. All of our shows are online as well. That is all this time we have for you today. So until next time, Torrance, play hard.